Hey, now this is part 3 of the series I've been doing on growing tomatoes. You remember in the first one, I first planted this tomato bed. They were really small when I first put them in. So if you have a look at video 1, then have a look at this video, you can see the difference, how tall they are now. Now I've been watering these about twice a week, and as I said in the first video, I didn't give them any food or anything to help along the growth until they started producing flower heads. Now, they got to a certain size. There's a few things that have happened. Obviously, once they got to about so tall, I put in these stakes, and I used just these little rubber ties just to tie them to the stakes. Whatever you do, just don't use wire or anything like that that'll constrict onto the stem of the tomato plant. Just something flexible. Jolly tie, one of these little plastic ties are great. So they've got to a good height. They've been staked. Now the flower heads appeared probably about 2 weeks ago. So for the last couple of weeks, once a week, I've been feeding them with an organic fertilizer. And yesterday I actually put down some saturate, which is a wetting agent, just to keep the moisture in the ground. Now what I'm going to do now, not literally now, but the next couple of days, is give them another feed. Now this is sulfate of potash. Now this increases flower heads and increases the amount of fruit that vegetables and fruit trees produce. So in this bag, pardon me, in this bag there's a fair amount. All I'm going to use is probably about 2 tablespoonfuls in one 9-litre watering can, and I'm going to put that on these plants probably once a week for the next month and a half or so, like that. Just every couple of weeks, that's heaps. Every week and a half, about every 10 days, I'll still feed them, and I'll keep watering them about 3 times a week. Now the other thing you need to do too, when they've got to this size, they obviously produce lots and lots of branches and lots of leaves from here. Now with main leaf stems, you can see on this one, this main one will come out from here. That'll be the first thing that pops out, and then in the crux of that, this other branch, that'll be the branch that produces flowers and produces fruit. So over time, because we don't want it to just put all of its energy into producing foliage, we want fruit, you can strip some of these off. Now all these bottom ones, like down here, you can just pull those bottom ones off. Don't denude the whole plant from its foliage, but just take off the stragglers at the bottom. Once the other stems have come through, like this one, you can pretty much take a lot of these bigger ones off. Now, I'll do the sulfate of potash today, and like I was saying, I'll do it in the next couple of weeks again. I'll keep feeding them and every 10 days. The wetting agent, now that I've put it on now, I probably won't do it for about another... I probably won't do it again actually, unless it really needs it. What's gone in there will be fine for months and months. So these will keep growing. I'll come back probably in about another month or so. There's fruit in there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's actually fruit in there. You can see some of the flower heads here, but there's actually fruit in there. So once that starts to ripen, I'll start picking them off. Now the main thing I want to do with all my tomatoes this year is make a big batch of tomato sauce. Now obviously your tomatoes are going to ripen over a course of probably about 5 weeks. So each time that I get a crop, I'm going to take the crop off, seed them, mush it all up, put it in the freezer, and then at the end, when we're getting into autumn, I'll do a big batch of tomato sauce to keep for most of the year. Now, as I said in the first video, these are too close together, but I was limited with space, so I went for quantity, not quality. Alright, so we've put the stakes in. We've attached these to the stakes to keep them supported, or else they'll just flop everywhere. I've put on the fertilizer and the wetting agent. I'll fertilise every 10 days. I'm going to use some of this sulfate of potash to increase the flowers and increase the fruit. And that's all we'll do. Another thing I did quickly too, a couple of weeks after I actually put them in after the first video, I put in some rockets, if I can find one in here. Yeah. There's one in there. There's a little rocket leaf. I just put that in. Rocket's one of those cut again, come again plants. So what I've actually done, you can't see it in there, it's around the base and around on the other side. With the rocket, once it grew, I cut it off at the base, and it grew again, then I cut it again. Now it's just pretty much got to a straggly kind of end where the ends will bolt and go to seed, like those. Pardon me. So they'll just go to seeds, the seeds will drop. You can let it just go to seed and the rocket will pop up again next year. So once I'll pull most of those out as well, the rocket, and I'll put basil in. So companion planting and things like that's a whole another video, so I won't talk about it today. But I've got a few basil plants dotted around in there too. Any questions, just give me a yell. I'll be back in about a month or so, and we'll start picking some of the fruit, and then we'll go through the recipes of it as well. Thanks. See you soon.